Hello everybody and welcome back to City Skylines 2, where last episode we expanded our commercial offerings as well as some residential offerings over here. And I wanted to take a look at some of the traffic that has cropped up while we were doing that. So first things first, we've got this out over here. This just went in, and so I think that these guys are pathfinding and this will eventually clear up. I want to check in down over here. There's apparently a traffic jam right here as they're exiting. I don't know about that. I think that's a non-legitimate trash can. Why was I going to say trash can? That is a traffic jam. No, the trash can is right here. This is a trash can. Absolutely. And we need to do something about this. So the question is, what do we want to do? Well, I think mission number one is we need to switch this to an overpass. This bypass here is mildly awkward, to be sure, but I think we need to knock this back and change this to an overpass system. But I think it's very, very clear that we're going to need a way for these guys to turn left at this point. So we'll see what we can come up with for that. It probably won't be pretty, but I do want to bring in this guy to be about right here. Let's do this in angle snap only mode. So that'll go right there. We take this around to here. Ah, pillars. Yeah, pillars. Okay, so now we're going to bring this back through here. Angle snap only mode, and bring that to about here. Then we need to bring it up and over like that. Okay, then we can bring this guy back through. Is that exactly where I wanted that? Yeah, I think that is. Okay, cool. Now we can do our right turns here, and this will be great if we want to turn right. If we want to turn left, it'll be a little bit more awkward. No doubt about that. So let's bring this in down over here, and we can think about what a left turn bypass might end up looking like for this. Okay, so just something like that. We'll need to forbid left-hand turns in each of these locations. So no left here, no left here, no left here, and that should be good. Then this area down here really should be taken down to 2-lane, right here and right here. So these are dedicated lanes. So it's just something like that. Now this is great if you want to turn right. If you want to turn left, it's significantly worse. So how do we want to handle that? Well, I think a question we need to ask is that actually a problem here? Oh, there's some left-hand turn issues right over here. We can definitely eliminate those. This is actually a street here, and we can upgrade these to highway on-ramps. Like that. There we go. That'll work a little bit better. And now these guys are going to have to, like, lane swap around a little bit, but this should be better through traffic. It's fine if you want to turn right. If you want to turn left, it's less fine. So how would we go about doing that? We would need to get this traffic to here, right? So basically, as I think about it, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that we're seeing a jam here. There's also a northbound jam up over here. This is people attempting to exit here. I think this comes down to we need to figure out a way to do a left-hand turn here. So it's not going to necessarily be as compact, for sure, with a left-hand turn, but I'm pretty sure that's what we've got going on here with these guys attempting to exit here, although that's more of a lane change issue than anything else. We're seeing these guys really awkwardly lane change. Oh, he didn't even turn. Okay, never mind. That may not be an issue. Let's go ahead and make these, or at least this one, be a controlled intersection, like that. And down over here, I'm not sure that it's necessary to make them controlled. But we can make this be a controlled intersection. And this down over here, of course, as this traffic starts to flow through, should clear up, which should allow this to clear up, in theory. And this traffic is definitely getting better. But left-hand turns are probably going to be an issue. As we develop more and more of these, we're going to see more people taking a left by exiting the highway here. And then they're going to be like trying to head this direction and then here and then coming up like that. That could potentially cause issues. However, in locations where it does cause issues, I think we just plop in a stoplight for the time being. We need to let this traffic flow for a little bit here. The main problem here is this is currently trying to merge down to one lane as we go through here. We could have this retain 2 lanes, but I want to have dedicated turn lanes for each of these. So having it go down to 1 lane will ultimately be good. The main problem right now is just, if you're here, it's a lot tougher to lane change, right? So that's fine for now. We are seeing this traffic moving fairly steadily now, and I think that's good. We could definitely look like here on these off ramps, we could look at putting in stoplights, and that would be a reasonable thing to do, I think. That said, in locations like this, there's not much of a problem. We just need to turn, right? And there's a bit of a backup over here as people lane change, for sure. But that is moving. We're generally seeing the traffic moving at this point, with the exception of right here. And the reason that that's not moving is because we're waiting for some of this traffic up this way to clear out. But we are actually getting to a point where that is clearing. So up over here, we've got a similar sort of situation. People are awkwardly lane changing here. I think we just need to wait for this to pathfind through, and next rush hour, things will be a lot better when people are able to get into their designated turn lanes beforehand. That's the theory, anyway. But yes, we're definitely seeing a lot of people trying to go this direction. That is, however, about to push to a point where these guys are going to start to move. Cool. This backup is still a problem. And there's still a lot of traffic coming in from the north here. Noted. I mean, this does feel like a bottleneck here. And to a certain extent it is. Can we do an asymmetrical highway? No, it would have to be a medium road. So what we would want to do here is we would want this direction to only have the 1 lane and this direction to have 2 lanes. So it would end up being an asymmetric small road here, and it would end up being something kind of like, we'd need to pull it around the other direction, something kind of like that. I don't know. I don't love that. I think that this is all coming down to lane changes. That is my theory at this moment. We are seeing the traffic moving broadly with the exception of on-ramp here and off-ramp here. That is, of course, causing significant issues in the northbound traffic. And we need the southbound traffic to just make its way through here. So the southbound traffic is going to clear up eventually, I think. We are seeing more traffic consistently coming in and joining this traffic jam. No doubt about it. So this is problematic. Here's a question. Do we want this to go to 2 lanes at this point? Yes, I think the answer is. This is, of course, halted because of this off-ramp. And this is because this guy wants to turn here. He shouldn't be here, to be honest. He's in the wrong lane. And he should have moved over back here. But here we are. So as far as this down here goes, this is people being in the wrong lane again. And doing really awkward lane changes and slowing everything down. They're slowing down both lanes of traffic with that. So this all comes down to lane changes, in my opinion. Like, that is the whole thing, is lane changes. So this traffic does need to move through. The question is, at what point will it move through? we need to start seeing some traffic over here moving in. It feels like we're currently mostly treading water. It feels like we're not, like, it feels like people are coming in at about the same rate as they're exiting this area. So that is a bit of a problem. The main issue over here, again, is down to those lane changes. That guy despawned, which is kind of convenient, but a lot of these people who are out in this lane need to come out here. And this guy just dove across. Yeah, it's not ideal. These guys are not in their appropriate lane. And this is something that I would like to be able to better control. I'd like to be able to say back here, this is the turn lane. This is the through traffic lane. Make your changes like back here. That would be ideal. Unfortunately, we just lack the tools to do that. That said, I think that we are actually making some progress on this. Yes, I think that we are indeed making progress here. Let's bump this up to speed 3, not that I expect that to really do too much.
Road maintenance services have already.
Once they get down here, it moves pretty okay. But this lane change is what causes the whole thing. Like, this guy, he's the problem. This guy, he's the problem. If you're in this lane, you're exiting and taking a right onto the Ivy Highway. This should not be allowed. Once they're actually doing that, things speed up. But then this guy needed a lane change, and everything slows down again. So that is indeed the core issue here. But this is slowly creeping forward. Once this creeps forward to here, we're going to start seeing this traffic moving, which means that this traffic can move, which means that this traffic can finally move. In theory. But of course, that takes a while to propagate through, and it'll take even longer the more lane changes need to happen here. Oh, this guy's going to have to dive over? No, he was just... Oh, yep. There he goes. Very awkwardly. So this all comes down to, I think, the fact that this traffic jam, like, the perpetuation of this traffic jam at this point is because the traffic jam exists. The traffic jam continues because it already existed. Once it clears through, and we're actually seeing some cars despawning in it, once it clears through, I expect that this is not going to reform. But yes, we are seeing some cars despawning here. That means that we are, of course, going to start seeing some significant movement. And I don't expect to see this reform when the traffic is moving enough that people can get into their proper lanes beforehand. Like, we're seeing at this point, the traffic jam is actually here. And that means that we actually have a feedback loop. So the feedback loop here is these guys are trying to turn here, which is blocked by this traffic, 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 which is blocked by this traffic. And that creates a loop. However, these guys are going to move a little bit here. And they're going to be able to start expanding into 2 lanes over this way, which is going to allow these guys to move a little, which is going to allow these guys to start to move. And I think if only these guys were in the correct lane, this would clean up. Definitely. 100% this would clean up. We're going to see some despawning again soon, and that will cause a fair amount of this traffic to move. But at this point, we're seeing these guys move up this way. And there is some blockage happening out over here. Yeah, there's definitely a fair amount of that going on. But this traffic is going to be allowed to move relatively shortly. We may want to actually have this also be traffic lighted. I'm going to do that for the moment, so that things are just a little bit more controlled on how this ends up going through. But we're certainly starting to see some movement out over here. Once these guys are able to merge onto the highway, they can spread out a little bit better, and that is a very good thing. Okay, down over this way, we're not seeing these movements propagating up here yet. We are working through these queues first, which is not necessarily ideal. But now the traffic light here has changed. These guys are able to move, and with any luck, this delivery van will get out of here. This one is the one causing the primary bottleneck at this time. It's all this vehicle. Really? He was going straight? Why did he lane change at all? And then he lane changes right back in. Okay. That's not cool. He wasn't even turning. Wild. He caused the entire problem. The entire thing. Now this traffic is beginning to move, which means that this traffic will be able to move, which means that this traffic will be able to move, which means that this traffic will be able to move. I am going to go through and stoplight both of these locations. But yes, we are starting to see this move. It all boiled down to that one vehicle that didn't even want to turn. Why was he so insistent on lane changing here? Are you doing the same thing, muscle car? Because if so, that's a problem. That would definitely be a problem. Okay, so at this point, this traffic is moving up a little bit. In fact, it's moving pretty decently. Ah, we're seeing some despawn in here. But yes, this traffic jam is perpetuated by the fact that there is a traffic jam. I'm quite convinced by this. And we're seeing a fair amount of despawn on this side, which means that it should start to clear up. So that's good. Absolutely phenomenal. Now we're seeing some traffic moving down this way, which means that this traffic can start to move. This is currently blocked by this city car, who I believe is trying to lane change here, but this all boils down to this guy. He should just take a different exit, to be honest. Like, he should just come down here, take the Grove Highway, go up over this way. Wait, there's no exits here? Hang on a moment. How did that happen? This needs to come in somewhere around here. That slope too steep. Okay. Yeah, that's giving a slope too steep out here. We could have it come in at the existing pillars, which, if we look at the pillars, is all the way back here. Yeah, that's a bit problematic for sure. We could have it be like up here. That gives a slope too steep here at a 25.6% grade. We need to just boost this up. Yeah, it's just not snapping to the top there. Okay, that's the problem. Sure, we can do something like this. The lack of exit here might actually be contributing pretty significantly to this. So we can do that. I kind of like having the traffic lights there. And I think we'll say no left-hand turn in these locations. Okay, so that means that pathfinding might be a little bit more valid. I don't know how we missed that, but that could have caused some of these issues. Okay, so we're seeing this traffic start to flow through over here now, which will open up flow here, and this will just broadly open up all of this flow. So that looks good. And we're not seeing a huge amount of people coming from the north anymore. Rush hour is pretty much over. So this traffic jam is beginning to break up at this point. That looks very, very solid. I don't think there's any significant issue at this time. So these guys are going to start clearing out of here, and then this side is going to start clearing as soon as this traffic light changes and these guys can start moving. Yeah, this is considered a jam right now, but currently it's green here, and these guys will be able to move shortly. Okay, so this side is pretty clear at this point. Beautiful. So that clears up. People are no longer trying to take very, very awkward lane changes there. There's a lot more space, and as soon as this light changes, this side will clear too. Here we go. Beautiful. And this clear up, I do not think was caused by building these, to be sure, but some of the jams starting in the first place might have been. Okay, so these guys are finally able to move. There's going to be some awkward lane changes through here. No doubt about that. And they're just going to make their way right on through. Beautiful. Awkward lane changes will persist here for a little bit. No doubt about it, but once this is done and we no longer have all of these vehicles here, they'll be able to make their lane change earlier and it should flow absolutely fine. As I said, I expect this to not recur next rush hour. So I think that's absolutely fine. Let's check in on any other issues traffic-wise right now. There's some up over here. Due to lane changes. Okay. Like, get in your proper lane back here where there's plenty of space. That is what I have to say about that. So that's absolutely fine for the moment. Checking in down over this way. Yeah, that's definitely cleaning up. This traffic is almost clear at this point. We could argue that this should go down to 2-lane here and then another lane open up after this to help force them into being in their correct through lanes. Something like this. That argument could be made. I don't necessarily like that because of the on-ramp here. I would prefer it if we could simply control where the turn lanes were. Unfortunately, that's not really an option, so we'll just do this. And this traffic is now completely clear. So that looks good. That clears up. It did take some despawns, but like I said, that traffic jam was perpetuated by the fact that there was a traffic jam. And that's, to be honest, how traffic jams work. So that's absolutely fine. This up over here, I expect to clear up as soon as we have some through traffic here. Of course, we need to keep in mind the way that these traffic circles work, right, is that you have to yield to the right. So these guys yielding here makes sense. Once this traffic is through, which is still cleaning up from down here, then these guys will be able to move just fine. Yeah, we can see them starting to pull up now. Looks good, and people are making their way through that traffic circle. For the moment, that will be absolutely fine. Any other major traffic issues that we see at this time? No, but it is also quite late at night, so we're starting to see that reduce for sure. This over here is a traffic issue caused by these accidents, although, yeah, this muscle car here, that's the core problem there. We're just shutting down a full lane of traffic. And a lot of these guys are trying to merge in instead of going up the Primrose Highway for reasons. I don't know what that reason is. The traffic pathfinding in this game is kind of special, but yeah, look at these guys merging in after their lane has already ended. That's the core problem there. And that's the core problem with a lot of this, actually, is this lane changing behavior. Like, why are you not already in this lane? That is the question. And I think the answer to that is they don't change the lane when the traffic is heavy like this because there's nowhere to lane change to. But you should change back here, like before you get into the middle of the jam and be in your correct lane. That's the ideal scenario anyway. But that's not what they're doing. Now, we could definitely make the argument that here we can take this up to be 3-lane anyway. Because this can be straight or turn, right? And we would like this to be a dedicated merge lane. So if we wanted to do that, this would be a 3-lane asymmetric road here, and it would come in kind of like this. Ish. And then we get rid of the crosswalk, of course. No crosswalk there. And we get rid of the traffic light there. And it would be something like that. These guys would then have to merge together up over here. But that would at least be beyond the Empire Highway. So we're not having this really awkward merge situation. The problem here, of course, is the speed limit change on just this area is awkward. And the merge in is a little bit... Actually, it's a fair amount better. But there's still a lot of people here wanting to merge in. And ultimately, I really believe that the answer here is just merge in when you're actually prepared to merge in. I want this to snap a little differently. Yeah, about right there. That'll do. Okay, so we're going to do that, and they're going to be merging here still. Yeah, it's going to be awkward, but through traffic should go through, and turn traffic should turn. That's all it comes down to. So that's fine for the moment. It is about time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we might try to tackle this situation, but ultimately, I really do believe that this is just lane change behavior, right? I think that if people just get in their correct turn lane earlier, this problem is solved. And if we had something like traffic manager, then we could do that. Like back here, we could say this becomes a turn only lane, and this becomes a through traffic lane.
We'll be back after.
And that would solve this problem immediately if they just had a lot of space up here to do that in. But unfortunately, they don't, so we don't have the tools for that. We'll just have to see what ends up happening with this, but I do expect that this ends up clearing up. But yeah, people just need to get into their correct lane. That's all it boils down to. Either you're turning or you're not. Make your choice. To be honest, if they're in this lane, they could always just come up here, go around, come up here, and go like this if they're in the wrong lane. Yeah, it's a little awkward, but they could do it. And it would be fine. But no, they just have to lane change right here. Very strange. At any rate, you can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Kentogan, Ali Lee, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.